tell you what my husband thinks. My husband is not the Secretary of State. I am. So you ask my opinion, I will tell you my opinion. I'm not going to be channeling my husband.
That was a testy moment during Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's trip to Africa, and a reporter asked Clinton about that moment on Thursday. She said, "I'd like to bring you back to the comments you made in the Congo. My husband is not the Secretary of State. I am. Do you, that has gotten more attention than anything else you've said here. What was going through your head when you said it, and do you regret it?" Here's how Clinton responded.
I've had a great time on this trip. I opened this newspaper, and I think she looks like she's having a great time. And from my perspective, the most important part of this trip are the relationships that we have built, the commitments that we have discussed.
She didn't answer it. So what was behind Clinton's blow-up?
Let's ask Fox News strategic analyst, Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters. And Ralph, thank you for being on the show today. So do you think that the little bit of the dust up there, the little bit of the blow up when she returned the question, the answer to the student there, is that a reflection of her limitations as a diplomat?
Well, I certainly think it's that. I mean, she's never been a foreign policy hand. But what you're really seeing has a lot of backstory. Poor Hillary, and I do sympathize with her because she's trapped. She's got to be the most disappointed woman in Washington. Now, President Obama is a cagey political infighter. He didn't want her in the Senate with her own power base to rival his. He dangles Secretary of State in front of her. She leaps at it. Then he takes all the power away from the State Department. He's basically got the lead for everything from the Middle East to Mexico. Joe Biden appoints himself Secretary of State for Russia and the former Soviet Union. Richard Holbrooke gets Afghanistan, Pakistan. George Mitchell gets the Palestinians and the Israelis. We've got special reps for Iran, for trade. There's no power left. And then, poor Hillary, I mean, her trip to Africa, building, I might point out, upon the strong foundation established by President George W. Bush, it's an admirable, ambitious trip. 7 countries, 11 days.
True.
She finally has her moment in the limelight, and right at the start, her husband goes to Korea, steals the headlines by bringing back 2 journalists. So I think she's just terribly frustrated because Hillary is a talented, hardworking woman. She's in the wrong job.
So, Ralph, in other words, you don't think it's just that she saw that question as being sexist. You think that behind the scenes, she actually is being marginalized.
You know, I think she is marginalized. She has no real power. She thought she'd at least be able to have the Africa portfolio do this. And, you know, egos are big in Washington. She's talented, but she has a big ego. And her husband smacks her down with a Korea trip. And I just think she's very, very frustrated. And, you know, yeah, it's easy to whack Hillary, but she is hardworking. She is bright. She did a really good, hardworking job for the people of New York as senator, but as Secretary of State, she is lost and confused.
Colonel, just real quickly here, we only have about 30 seconds, and I probably shouldn't even ask this, but I'm going to do it anyway. The comment that she made when she was in Nigeria, I mean, you can't get more corrupt than that country, about the 2000 election being corrupt, and she's basically said that Jeb Bush was responsible and fixed the election. I'm surprised there's not more blowback on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up because that was disgraceful. Nigeria, I mean, she did take an anti-corruption message to Africa, and they need to hear that. It's the #1 plague in Africa. But Nigeria, she then says, well, you're off the hook because we had a corrupt election in 2000 in Florida. Absolutely nuts. And, you know,
Colonel,
I fear she may be on the edge of a breakdown.
You know, Fox friends, thank you I'm on the verge of a breakdown and a break.